On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel struck Iran. Khamenei is dead. The Strait of Hormuz is under closure threat. 3 American soldiers are confirmed killed. And one analyst called all of it, months before it happened. That analyst is Professor Jiang Xueqin. He combines psychohistory, the study of large-scale structural forces, with game theory to model how rational actors behave when empires collide. He doesn't guess. He maps the incentive structures, identifies what each player is forced to do, and follows the logic to its conclusion. He originally predicted a US military confrontation with Iran by March 2027. Then he revised the window to March 2026. The strike landed February 28th. He was right. But here is what makes Jiang dangerous to ignore. He is not predicting events. He is predicting the logic behind events. Game theory doesn't care about intentions, it cares about payoff structures. And when you map the payoffs, the US had almost no choice but to strike. That is exactly what Jiang said, and it is why his next predictions deserve your full attention. His thesis: the United States is not making strategic mistakes. It is executing the behavior of a late-stage empire, one that has already peaked, cannot reverse its structural decline, and is now reaching for increasingly dramatic instruments of power to delay the inevitable. The Iran war is not a foreign policy decision, it is a symptom. And game theory tells us what comes after symptoms. Escalation, not resolution, because every player's dominant strategy now points toward more conflict, not less. 3 historical patterns, and they are going to make you uncomfortable. When Rome's decline accelerated in the 3rd century, its emperors did not consolidate. They expanded. Expensive campaigns in Mesopotamia and Persia, impressive military operations, every one of them. None solved the actual problem: a shrinking tax base, a bloated military, and rivals who simply waited for exhaustion. Jiang's argument is that the US strikes on Iran follow the exact same template. Impressive, costly, structurally irrelevant. 1956, Britain launches a military intervention in Egypt. A final attempt to prove it still runs the world. The operation works militarily. Then the US forces Britain to back down. Allies scatter. And in one overreach, the entire world understands Britain is no longer the hegemon. Jiang's warning is that the Iran strike risks becoming America's Suez moment. Not the moment that proves American power, the moment that confirms American decline. 1979. The Soviet Union enters Afghanistan to stabilize a client state and signal resolve. It had the firepower. It did not have the endurance. A decade-long war drained resources, exhausted the military, and accelerated internal contradictions that collapsed the USSR 2 years after withdrawal. Jiang's framework gives the US no clean exit from Iran either. Airstrikes without ground troops, strategic stalemate. Ground troops, existential overstretch. There is no third option, only a choice between 2 kinds of damage. Now the scorecard. 5 predictions Jiang made for 2026. Here is where they stand right now. Dance. Prediction 1. Trump attacks Iran in early 2026. Confirmed. Joint US-Israel strike February 28th. Khamenei killed. Multi-city strikes across Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Tabriz. Prediction 2. Airstrikes are impressive but strategically insufficient. Confirmed. CFR analysts Max Boot, Chatham House, all on record. Airstrikes cannot produce regime change without ground troops. The regime's ideological infrastructure survives decapitation. Prediction 3. The conflict becomes a costly war of attrition, active. Iran has already retaliated against 27 US regional bases and struck Gulf allies. The Strait of Hormuz closure threat alone could trigger an oil shock that hits the US economy harder than any Iranian missile. Watch this number. Prediction 4. Russia and China exploit US distraction. Pending. And the clock is ticking. Jiang predicted that the moment US military attention locked onto Iran, Putin would deliberately prolong Ukraine, Russia would begin threatening the Baltic states, North Korea would press South Korea, and the US would find itself stretched across 3 or 4 simultaneous theaters. That cascade has not confirmed yet, but every structural condition for it is now in place. Prediction 5. The Iran war marks the end of the US-led unipolar moment. Jiang's words, not mine. quote, the end of the US-led unipolar moment and the beginning of a new balance of power favoring the East. Too early to call, confirmed. But look at what the scoreboard already shows. Khamenei is dead and Iran is still fighting. The Strait is threatened. Gulf allies were struck. 3 Americans are dead. And China, Russia, and the entire global south are watching every single move, taking notes. So here is the one question I want you to answer in the comments. Jiang says airstrikes alone cannot finish this, and Trump has not deployed ground troops. So what happens next? Does Trump escalate to a ground invasion and risk full overstretch? Does he declare victory and withdraw and hand Iran a strategic win? Or does this grind into exactly the attrition war Jiang predicted? Give me your scenario below. The comments section on this one is going to be worth reading. If you want to follow Jiang's predictions as they resolve, subscribe. This channel tracks his framework against actual events as they happen. The next video covers whether Russia moves while America is distracted. That one is coming faster than most people expect. Jiang's original 2026 predictions are linked in the description. Watch them first, then come back and tell me where you think he got it wrong.